If you are a local business and you're doing between 15 and 50K per month, then this is the video that you need to watch, because it's possible that the problem is that you just don't have the right systems in place to get you out of that 15 to 50K per month. So that's exactly what we're going to go through here with this Miro funnel. And I'm pretty much going to go over all the steps from attract to nurture to converting the people and then getting them back over and over again, so you can increase the lifetime value of all of your clients. I'm not going to go crazy in depth, but I want to go enough in depth so that you can see this video and know what you need to implement so that you can get the most out of this video as possible, and it's not just for one niche. So starting out obviously is our meta ads, and a lot of problems that people have when like making meta ads or just advertising in general is not actually understanding exactly who their ideal customer profile is. And it's not ideal customer profile, it's more ideal customer profiles. Like, it's not just one avatar. You could have several who makes up your entire business, but you need to understand who they are, what they purchase, and the most valuable ones. If you don't know who they are, you will be hitting the wrong spots and you will not be getting the right sort of client that you want. Now, this either means you won't convert them because they're not the right sort of customer, or they won't be spending as much as they should be and they won't be valuable. So they won't be coming back over and over again, and they won't even get to that loyalty stage. But knowing who they are, you can do the exact opposite of that, get more of them in. So just have a better close rate from targeting the right people. And then as well as that, you can get them to purchase over and over again more expensive things and create a loyal customer, which creates so much more value to your business rather than just having a client who comes in once and then never who comes in again. Now, what you need to know is different from different like business models. For example, you could do like age, gender, demographic, location, pain points, their goals, their revenue. It all depends on the business. So 2 examples here, looking at the chiropractor, just as like a blanket example, maybe you want to look at like their age, might be 35 to 50, their gender, male, back pain, income level is medium to high, and their purchasing reasons is, well, they're in pain and that causes them to not be able to do the things they love. That will be an avatar for maybe a back pain treatment plan. So a high ticket offer, and this is who is going to buy it. And for example, 2, a restaurant, which is going to be completely different. It might be 25 plus, gender, doesn't matter. And pain points, if any, because it's a restaurant, they might just need a break from work. Then maybe they just don't want to cook. And income level, medium to high, depending on the, if it's a fancy restaurant or not. And the purchasing reasons, just they don't want to cook and they need to escape a busy lifestyle. Now, to find out who exactly is this, ideal customer, you need to do something that's called an 80-20 analysis. Basically, what this says is 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your outcomes, or 20% of your customers lead to 80% of your revenue. Now, this might be not exact, but if you do an analysis, you will see that it makes up something similar to this and all things around life. So 20% of the things you do throughout the day probably generate 80% of the outcomes that you get in life. And if you can do this with your customers and look at it, and you look at that top 20% and you look at what is like common in these people, you can start to figure out who is the person who is purchasing more often, and just way more valuable for your business, so that you can then translate that into marketing and you can target more of them. So that 20% becomes the 100%, and then you do it again and you find the best person of those best people. And then you continue to do this until you get the best customer possible, and you're just getting them over and over and over again. But how can you translate these things here into like actual ads? For example, here with the chiropractor, you have somebody that's 35 to 50, male, back pain, medium to high income, can't do things they love, and their hobbies might be golf, being with family. So translating that into the ad, so you're taking these pain points, taking their gender, their age, all these things, and actually turning it into an ad to talk to this person. Knowing how to do that is very important, because if you don't, then you might as well not have an avatar, because you can't even target them properly. So for example, you might have a UGC ad, which is basically a client review video ad of a male who is 35 to 50, who had back pain. So you're showing him how he had it, now he doesn't. And it stopped him from playing golf, because medium to high income usually play golf. Like, it's a bit of a stereotype, but it's true. and pretty much him explaining how his pain is gone. So this will target people who are male, 35 to 50, who have back pain, who maybe play golf or something along the lines of that, and they have this problem and they want it to be solved, and they're seeing somebody who is very similar to them having that problem solved. Or you could do a founder-led video ad, which is basically the owner explaining a package or a treatment plan to get rid of that back pain. So, and in that video, they're calling out this ICP of the male 35-50. You get the point. Now, the biggest mistake made when running ads is not understanding awareness levels. So around 3% of the entire market right now, whatever business you're in, is ready to buy. So this is this aware level. So they know what your product is, they're aware of you and what you offer, and they're just ready to buy. That's 3% of the market. Now, if you look at it and you have, let's say, just 10 people in your area who is also doing some form of marketing, and let's just say it's on Facebook ads, and you have all these people picking away at the 3%, you can imagine how thin that gets. Like imagine you have 1 million people in your city and you have 10 other people, and only 3% of them are actually ready to buy. So it's 30,000 people, if my math is right, I hope so. And there's a bunch of other people marketing to those people. Yes, you can still get great results from here, but there is so much more, I guess, under the iceberg to be like discovered here. Like a lot of people just don't look at these at all. And if you want to be, here's how you can do it. So if they're unaware, you need to actually create that problem. So unaware is they don't know about the problem or the solution, or they have no idea about you. So you need to create that problem in their mind. So if we're looking at something like McDonald's or a restaurant of some sorts, and they're not aware of their problem of being hungry, you could show them some food, and then you've created that problem. You've created the desire to, eat food. And then if somebody who is problem aware, maybe they know that they're hungry, but they don't know what they want to eat, and they see an ad and it's food from a restaurant, and now they are aware of the solution that is possible for them to go and eat. So you could do this, like obviously maybe not a before and after, but like for example of the chiropractor, you could show somebody who has gone through this, and you're showing this to somebody who is aware of the problem. You could show them the solution to the problem, and that is pretty much graduating them from each stage. So first you might create the problem, and then show them the solution, and then show them the product, and now they know all about it and they're ready to buy. And if you can do this correctly, you've gone from targeting like 3% of the market, which is what a lot of people do with their ads, just posting an ad, whether it's a video or a still image of just their product and like the price of it and their offer. And you can actually start focusing on not just 3%, but the extra 97% of the market that is there and that can still make a purchasing decision. But you need to get them to that purchasing decision, which is where a lot of people go wrong. So, like, you create the problem in their mind, you show them the solution, taking them to solution aware, and then you make an ad focusing on your solution and why it's the best. So before and after, UGCs, client reviews, all this sort of thing. And then you can make a director offer once they're product aware. You can make founder-led reviews, all the same thing, but kind of different wording, taking them from each step. So taking them from unaware to aware. That's the goal here. And different ad forms will work for different stages of awareness. And obviously it depends on your business. It's not like a blanket thing that I can say, if you do this, you'll get these results. It depends on your business. So you need to test more ads. And it's pretty clear, you've probably heard it before, but it's true. You need to test more, find out more data, see what is going on in your market, in your area, in your business model, so you can make the right adjustments, the right changes, and eventually get the best results possible. For example, like something, this would be like a director offer ad. So, you'll offer your product here and the price and the call to action. This would be like a director offer, most aware and bottom of funnel. So people who are like ready to buy. And this will be this one here, calling out the pain point and having the offer and maybe a proof statement would be, again, a kind of a director offer, but maybe more problem aware, like somebody who is problem aware, that this is their problem, and then you are also making the offer in the same ad. And that's still kind of bottom middle funnel. Then you have something like this, which is more of a before and after, still with the offer in there as well. So it's pretty similar to this one, just like a before and after type thing. And then this one is more of a kind of more top funnel, middle funnel, and it's a before and after, but it's just focusing on the problem, like lingering acne scars. A hydrofacial is the way to go. Still the solution in there, but mainly focusing on the problem and like graduating to getting to know more about this solution, which in this case would be a hydrofacial. Now, understanding this and knowing how to use meta ads, not just in a way to get more people, more eyes, but get more of the right sets of eyes so you can convert as good as possible and get these people to make the next step. In this case, if you're having something more of a higher ticket and you're using a landing page, you need to be turning clicks into bookings. So that is, I guess, obviously the entire point of having a landing page is to get people from clicking on your ad to making a booking, like downloading something, signing up to your email list, something along those lines. That's why you have a landing page. And you need to maintain consistency with your ads. So if you have an ad about, let's go back to the restaurant, and you have an offer for a Wednesday. So you have a Wednesday offer, and then they click on the ad to like book in for Wednesday, and it's got nothing to do with the ad, and they can't find it anywhere, and you're creating confusion, which is not what we want. We want it to be not confusing. It's going to be a lot more friction to make that booking if it's not the same as the ad that they've just clicked on. So you need to maintain consistency with all ads. So it shouldn't be overcomplicated at all. Just make sure that your ad and your landing page is giving out the same messaging. And one of the most important things on your landing page is above the fold, which is basically everything that the user sees before doing anything on the site. So before scrolling, before anything. For example, these two here, you go on the site, this is my landing page, this is a client's landing page. And before you even scroll, this is what you see. And your goal is to hook their attention and get them to either take action right then and there or continue to scroll. So if you have a look at some things on this site here, like you have the eyebrow, which is basically a call out saying, you know, who this is for. And then the headline, which is basically the meat of it, which is basically saying what this is. And then the sub headline giving a bit more information. And then you can have maybe an image and some proof, and then you can have a CTA and something below that to give like a bit of reassurance. For example, here it's 0 obligations, just pure value, and over here it's showing some reviews. And then here there's a little thing to keep scrolling to, you know, if they're not ready to go ahead and book that game plan call now, they can scroll down and continue to find out more about it before taking that action. Now, what to include in a landing page obviously depends on like what you're selling. If you're selling something for $10, you're not going to want to have a huge like landing page. It's just going to create more friction and give them just a load of information where there's like, wow, it's $10, just let me buy it. And you don't want to have too little if it's something higher ticket where they're still asking more questions and they're not ready to purchase after looking at this. The goal of this landing page is just to get them ready to purchase and then get them to purchase or get them to book. It's just to get them to take that step in whatever it is you're selling or giving away. For example, if you had a lead magnet, something like that. For example, what you should include in a landing page is like who you are, why should they care, what are you selling, who's it for, and then why should they care about what you're selling, proof that what you're selling actually works or does what you say it does, like frequently answered questions, your location, and a lot of CTAs, so the buttons throughout your page where they can go to the next step, the next page, whether it's booking, whatever. Just so that if they're scrolling down the page and they want to, okay, that's good, I want to book now. They don't have to scroll all the way up to the top to click it. There's a button in front of them every step of the way. So basically, it should not be difficult for them to take action. So obviously, like I said, scattering those CTAs throughout the page so they can have it ready for them whenever they're ready. And some questions to ask yourself when, I guess, doing this sales page is, do I need to heavily qualify my leads? So high ticket, probably. Low ticket, maybe not. Free, Probably yes. If you have something for free, for example, a lead magnet, which is maybe takes up your time, which has some sort of value, for example, a free consultation, you want to qualify your leads because you don't want to get a lot of people who are just coming in just because it's free. You want to qualify them, not overqualify them, but make sure that you know before you do this free thing that they are somebody who will purchase the big thing, like your core offer. And should I sell through online checkout or in person? Low ticket, you can probably sell online. High ticket, it depends on the product or service. For example, if your main offer was like a something bigger, maybe 1,000 or 500, maybe you could sell in person, and you could have an offer at the front end just to get them in the door, and then you could sell them that in person. And how much friction do I add? Test, analyze, and adjust. Those are things not just for the friction, but everything on the landing page. And if you are testing anything on the landing page, change one thing at a time. For example, if you want to do a split test, so 50% of the people go to this version, 50% go to this version, change one thing. For example, the headline. That way, when you see the results, you know exactly what caused it, and it's not a bunch of different things. Now you're guessing, okay, which changed this? What changed my my click-through rate? What changed this? What changed that? You just know. And what sales process to use? Same thing, test, analyze, adjust. So try one, test it, analyze it, and then adjust according to the results, or don't adjust if it was perfect. I doubt it. But ways to qualified leads. So if you were selling something for free or high ticket where you need to qualify people, you could do a form or a survey. So something as simple as that can just qualify their intent, their age, or their willingness, depending on what you need to qualify them for. And it obviously changes depending on the business, but if they answer wrong, just get them out. Like, who cares? Maybe they have something else you could sell them, but if you don't have something else you could sell them, don't try to sell them. Maybe you could implement something for the people who aren't qualified, people who can't afford the $1,000 thing. You might have $100 thing for them, and you redirect them to that page. But if there's no chance they're going to buy this $1,000 thing, don't waste your time, because you've qualified them, you know they're not going to buy, and it's just better off working with the people who most likely will buy from this qualifying. And a video. So if you had like a video on your page and you have to watch this video in order to book, like you have to watch this 10-minute video before booking a free consultation. And then, like I said before, testing your landing page. Change one variable at a time. Like you could change your headline, your CTA button, your VSL, which is your video sales letter. So a video on your page basically selling. And a survey or form. You might want to change your form to create more friction or to create less friction. So that's your landing page. Now moving on next to how are we converting these people, it kind of depends. If you have something that is like a consultation, which is free or paid, or it's like a purchase or a booking where they're actually buying the actual thing and not the steps before it, you need to qualify prospects if it's a consultation, especially if it is free and paid either way, because consultations are a lot cheaper than the actual service. And you can do this by survey. So if you do a free survey, you must qualify prospects. You must, because if you are not, and you're getting all this traffic from your Facebook ads, and some of them aren't qualified because they don't have enough money to buy your core offer, and you're still talking to these people who don't buy, you will waste a lot of time. And creating friction, like explained before, is just to stop people getting into these free consults who are time wasters. You don't want to waste your time. You want to make as much money as possible. And if it's a purchase or a booking, you need to kind of put the processes in place to capture as many as possible. For example, lead capture, booking, and then you could do an upsell. And lead capture could be first. That way, if they do this and then they don't do this, you can follow up afterwards because you still know that they're qualified if you qualified them before. And if they are qualified and they filled this out, you can go ahead and book them in later on if they don't take this step on the landing page. So pretty much if you were to do an upsell, what you want to be upselling is, so this is your core offer. You could be selling more, so more of the same thing, a better version of it, so a premium version, or something completely new. And For example, if we're looking at a restaurant, that's the easiest example for you guys to understand. If you're selling your core offer, which is a burger, and maybe you could sell more, you could sell two burgers, or you could sell a large burger, or you could upsell them with a large burger with fries or with chips, however you call it. And if you want to increase close rate not only on these upsells but on your core offer as well, you need to make it easy for the prospect so they can get on your landing page, know exactly what to do, and they're not confused, and it's easy for them. Obviously, depending on if you need to add friction, if you're getting too many unqualified leads, you need to qualify them, but you still need to make it easy enough for them so it's not taking 2 hours just to make a purchase. And you need to have fast loading pages. For example, if your click-through rate is high on your ads, but the people who are actually landing on your page is lower than your click-through rate, or the amount of people who have clicked, it's probably because your landing page is not loading quick enough. So they click on the ad, and then before it even loads, they get off because it's just taking too long. So make sure you're having pages that are loading fast enough, people can actually see what is on it. And provide all the information needed to take the next step. Now, obviously, this can change a lot, like I said before. If it's lower ticket, you won't need as much. If it's higher ticket, you might need more. Play around with it to see how much information you need so you're not wasting their time, but you're still getting them enough information so they don't have to call up, they don't have to email, they can just take the next step then and there just after looking at this page. And if you were doing some sort of manual follow-up, make sure it is fast. So if you're doing something simple as just having a lead form on a landing page, you need to be following up as quick as possible because that will just increase close rate. As simple as that. And good offers. Like if you're sending people to a landing page that just has a terrible offer, then you won't convert people as often, obviously. And then a thank you page is very, very important. And you need to make sure it makes the next steps clear. So basically, if they book in, it makes them know exactly what has to be done between now and when they come in for their consultation. You know, like if it's a restaurant, obviously there won't be much next steps, like here's the time, here's the address, see you there. But if it's something where they need to actually do something, you need to make it clear to them. You also want to confirm the appointment both on the page and send them an email or an SMS automated so that they can actually remember where it is and they can have the time there ready to go. And if it's a higher ticket or like multi-step sales, for example, someone buying a house and they're coming in for some sort of appointment, that's probably not a good example. You want to have a VSL, which is the video sales letter. So it's just a video after they purchase explaining what is going to happen next and what they need to prepare, what they can expect, things like that to further qualify them and further prepare them for that sales meeting, for the conversation which will lead to a sale. They're more prepared for that and you can get through it as quick as possible. So then obviously you can do more sales. And then an opportunity to upsell after the sale. You can do this. You could do this before. You could do this after. It depends. You could do it for both. You could do one when they're checking out and one once they've checked out. Like you have the next 30 minutes to add this to your cart. And you could do an offer like that. And then to increase AOV, which is average order value, you want to be making an upsell when booking, after booking, when they come in, or all three. So they're going onto your page. They're going into the cart. They're about to check out. Hit them with an upsell there. They check out. They've paid. They've booked in. Hit them with an upsell there. Whether they're actually paying for it there or just opting in for it, which is a very good trick that you could try. Having a little checkbox on either your confirmation page or on your booking page, basically asking them, would you want to be, like, are you interested in this additional thing, in this premium service? If they click yes, they're more likely to buy it when they come in. And then also when they actually come in. So then you have 3 opportunities for an upsell, whether they're the same or they're different. You could play with that. And, having pricing structures that make it stupid if they don't go for the upsell. An example here, if you go to the movies and you have 3 sizes of popcorn, small, medium, large, the small might be 4, the large might be 8. So you think like to bridge the gap, the medium must be 6. But if people go for the small, they're usually just going to go for the small. Like you can't really change their mind. But people who go for the medium will be like, well, it's only an extra $1 to go for the large. I'm just going to go for the large. Like they're not going to stay in the medium unless they're really set in their ways. They'll probably just go for the large. And if you had majority of people going for the small, then you might want to shift that and be $4 for the small and then 5 for the medium. And then more people will be taking the medium because it's a smaller amount price difference for a higher value difference, which is that building that discrepancy. Anyways, and if everybody's taking everything, you probably just want to up the prices. And then pretty much on the last section here is the back end system. So everything from when they purchase to when they come in, or just everything after that first purchase. You need to be having the right systems in place to make sure that they're actually coming in for their appointment, purchasing more, not just more often, but purchasing more every time they come in, increasing that AOV, which is average order value, the average amount that a customer spends each time they come in, and the lifetime value, which is the lifetime value of a client, how much they spend over their lifetime with you. And a way you can do this, all three of these things here, is, well, starting off automations, actually making sure that they come into their appointment. So as I said before, an SMS or an email confirmation automatically sent as soon as they book in. And then reminders, you can play around with this. Obviously, it's kind of your preference. You could do like 24 hours before, you could do 48 hours, you could do 3 hours before, you could do 1 hour before. It's up to you, but usually it's good to have one like straight away, a day before, 2 days before, and then one on the day. Like for example, here you can see this one, the client makes the booking, they book the appointment, then they get a confirmation email, this is instantly, and then they get an SMS 48 hours before, and then they get an SMS 1 hour before. You can change it up, and obviously it depends on your show-up rate. If your show-up rate is bad, like people are just forgetting, then this would be something very, very good you can implement today just to increase your show-up rate. And that can increase revenue just like that, just by getting more people to actually show up. And then review collection. If people can see that your reviews are good and you have that social proof and you have that trust in the community, then you will get a lot more people to actually say yes to your thing because so many more people have gotten the good results from it before. And just being able to collect them automatically. So for example, when this person eventually comes in, an hour after, they get a text to fill out a review, or a day after. That's really good to increase that social proof for your business. And if you have stale clients, so people who haven't been in 3 to 6 months, obviously depending on your business and what's the average amount of time that like people would come in throughout the year, like the amount of time that people should be taking between appointments, then you might have an automation that is 3 months after their last appointment. You sent them with an offer like 20% off, something like that, maybe something a bit more intriguing. And you can get old clients back in automatically just with an SMS automation. And then lead follow-up. So for example, if you are having like a lead form on your landing page, so collecting their information, their full name, phone number, and email, you want to be having something to let them know that you're there. A few minutes after, you could just say like, hey, we saw that you filled out this form. Somebody will get with you within the next few hours. Somebody will be with you as soon as possible. And then that way they know that you're there. They know that you have a heartbeat, and they're going to be waiting for that call, waiting for that text. And then just having more offers. And if you just have more offers for people, it's just going to mean that there's more points in time that you offer them something, and they're more likely to say yes to that thing, just because you're giving it to them more often. For example, looking back at the chiropractor, you have the original offer, which might be they come in for a free assessment, then they pay for a adjustment, and then they get a treatment plan, and you say like, hey, we'll roll over this price that you paid for the adjustment, let's say $100, and we'll roll it into that $1,000 treatment plan. So pretty much you paid $100, now you just got to pay the $900 difference. Sound good? Awesome. So now you got the treatment plan. And now if they want even better results, you could get them an intensive treatment plan, or you could offer this first And if they don't take the intensive, you downsell them on the treatment plan. So if hopefully that didn't confuse you, but basically they come in for the original offer, using Cairo as an example, and then you upsell them and say, do you want an intensive treatment plan to get better results quicker? If they say yes, great. If they say no, you backtrack, you just give them a basic treatment plan. So this could work for your business. You have something smaller, then you have a premium. If they don't take the premium, you offer them the main thing. And then later on down the line, when this person has no more back pain, you can give them a prevention plan, and you can upsell the prevention plan with monthly prevention sessions. Just an example. And if you wanted to increase your lifetime value, as I went over before, getting them to buy over and over again and to spend more, or both, doesn't hurt, then you need to be playing around with like forms of payment, or I guess the models of payment, money models, I guess you could say. And for example, you could be doing one session of X for 300. And then you could upsell that to like 3 sessions of X for 750. But in order to get that price, you have to pay upfront. So you're getting more cash collected up front, and you are also incentivizing them to stay with you for longer and spend more with you. Or you could do 3 sessions of X for 900, so still keeping that 300 per session, but you get 1 free session of Y or Z. Pay up front. And you add in those freebies to incentivize staying with you for longer and spending more with you. You could do the pay up front, you could do payment plans, you could split it up over the 3 sessions. And if they like Y or Z when you give it them to free, you could then sell it to them. So instead of doing it for free, you could say, oh, you liked Y? Awesome. Do you want to get 3 sessions of that? And that way you've increased your LTV. So looking back at it as a quick overview here, now you should know how to attract the right type of audience using meta ads, how to nurture this person using a landing page so you can get them to make that purchasing decision. Then you can convert that person using your booking page, also increasing their order value and making sure they actually show up for their appointment. And you know how to actually make sure if you're giving away something for free, you're not giving it away to everybody. You know how to qualify the right sort of client. And once you've done that, you know how to create loyalty for a customer and get them coming back over and over again by creating the right sort of upsells at the right time, and just knowing the client, knowing what you need to offer them at different times, which if you're not doing that right now, look at the type of clients that you have, what they like, what are they purchasing, and how can you get them to do it more often. And it's really, really simple. If somebody's in pain and you have something that fixes that pain, for example, with the chiropractor, it's a really, really basic example. They have back pain, you offer them a treatment plan. Now their next pain is, I don't want this to come back. Then you have an offer for that solution. Okay, we do a prevention plan. He's like, yeah, but I'm not really sure, like, if I can do this by myself, like I'm really busy. How about this? Just so you actually do it, you come in once a month for these prevention sessions. And now you've created multiple points and you've kept this client just from coming in for 1 session or 2-3 sessions to an entire treatment plan, and then to come in even after they have no more pain, just to make sure it doesn't come back. And this is a funnel that you should consider using. So take ideas from this, don't copy it exactly, and you can implement all these different things across all different type of local businesses if you're doing between 15 and 50K per month. And if you wanted me to do all of this for you, meaning implement everything from finding your ICP to running the ads to building the landing page, building the systems, the offers, converting the most amount of people, creating the back-end system so that you could do all of this, and you don't want to do it, but you want somebody else to do it who actually does this in local businesses, then click the link in the description. You can book a free game plan call with me, and we can have a look at your business, look at the ins and outs, build out a game plan, and then potentially, if we're a good fit, we can work together. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you got the most out of it as possible. And if you still have some time and you don't want to book a call yet, you can watch some of my other videos and you can maybe learn a bit more about getting out of that 15 to 50K per month. So thanks for watching. See you soon.